Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is DeFub21, and today I have some rather surprising and completely, well, from my perspective, unexpected and completely out of left field news. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting a Nintendo Entertainment System this Christmas. I know you're thinking, what the hell are you talking about? And the answer is, well, really very simple. Nintendo has announced a mini version of the original NES. They're calling it the mini NES, and it will play 30 classic games. Now, when I say it could play 30 classic games, that doesn't actually mean, to be absolutely clear, that you can download them or something or buy them. It's actually shipping with 30 games, we assume, on a hard drive inside the system. It's apparently it's basically it's if you've seen those things from Sega, the mini Genesis / Mega Drives, they're usually like $50 or $60, and you get a shrunk down version of the original console, kind of a carbon copy of the original controller or two, and there's usually 20 or 30 games kind of pre-installed on it that you can play. In this case, it's going to be coming with a HDMI out. So it'll plug into your modern television, and I imagine that'll result in quite good picture quality. One. Two, apparently it runs off USB. Some of the reports say it doesn't come with a power adapter. Some of the reports say that it does. So there's a bit of a conflicting information there. And it comes with one classic NES controller. I've got a picture. I'll put a picture up for you. Just about here for the system, and as you can see, it's considerably smaller than the original. It effectively fits in the palm of your hand. The list of games that are actually coming on it include, and this is the entire list, there's 30 of them, I'll list them all: Balloon Fight, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2 The Revenge, Dr. Mario, Excitebike, Final Fantasy, which I assume is the original Final Fantasy game, Galga, Ghosts and Goblins, Gradius, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Bros, which is not surprising there, of course, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Ninja Gaiden, Pac-Man, Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, Star Tropics, Super C, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Tecmo Bowl, The Legend of Zelda, and The Legend of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. So that's 30 games in total, and that includes some pretty high-profile third-party games, the Castlevania ones being a prime example, and Final Fantasy being another, and Double Dragon as well. And basically, it appears to be the first 4 Mario games. Again, where's it again here? Total first 4. Well, you've got your Dr. Mario, that doesn't really count as a proper Mario game, and then you've got Mario Bros, and then you've got Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, and Super Mario Bros. 3. So that's 4 Mario Brothers games. I think Super Mario Bros. 2 was that weird Super Mario game that Nintendo quickly put together to get out the door and get it released to take advantage of the huge success of the first Super Mario Brothers game. And it was basically another game that they effectively reskinned to make it look and sound like a Mario game. You could pull plants out of the ground and throw them at baddies to kill them and stuff like that. I've never played it, but I've seen video footage of it online. So that's pretty. I mean, it's something of a surprise. I mean, it's a completely out of left field. Nintendo's never done anything like this before. Whether the system, I assume the system is completely closed. I mean, it does, again, looking like a NES. It does. Well, what's the word for it? It does look like it's got the cartridge, the little flap you open up and put the cartridge into. And by the look of it, it may be physically big enough to actually accommodate original NES cartridges. But whether Nintendo would actually go that far to build a mini NES, I don't know. It's apparently $60 in the United States. So maybe £50 in the UK, €60 in the Eurozone. And appears to use proprietary connectors, typical for the controllers as well. But either way, and it's got kind of old school kind of analog buttons for the power on and the reset. Whether it's an actual proper NES in the box, as in Nintendo's gone to the effort of figuring out how to make all the NES's original chips and build them onto a board using modern processes to drive down the cost of them, and is running basically, it's a miniature NES built using modern manufacturing processes, and that's what we're getting in the box. Or whether it's basically some kind of glorified smartphone SoC or system on chip running emulation software, we won't know till it comes out. It's coming out on, if I haven't mentioned it already, on November the 11th. The other thing that makes me slightly concerned, again, I don't want to be a naysayer, but is the fact that this has come out completely out of the blue. There's been no indications before that Nintendo was planning this. And if you look at Nintendo's history, certainly particularly with the 3DS, I mean, I am very much of the view that the 3DS was released prematurely, that it needed probably another, the rest of 2011 effectively. I think it came out in 2011. It was released in Japan in late 2010 and in early 2011 in Europe and America. And when it came out, it got into serious trouble very quickly because the first-party exclusive titles needed to drive sales weren't there. They weren't ready. And the hardware was a bit of a mess. It needed shoulder buttons. It needed a second proper analog stick. In other words, the system needed more development time. And it seems that Nintendo at the time put it out the door. Certainly, if it gives me the impression that they got it out the door in all the major markets before the end of their, Japanese fiscal year, which I think ends in March. And it came across to me at the time as being a desperate attempt by the leadership of the company to puff up the company's numbers and its bottom line before the end of the financial year and before any reviews by the shareholders and the board, as it were. And it kind of blew up in Nintendo's face. And I'm wondering, are they putting this out now to, because they've never done anything like this before. I mean, there are people who will go out and spend $60 and get that system who otherwise might have, bought an NX, or if they have a Wii U already, would have bought a lot of the game, or could have bought these games on the Nintendo's kind of digital distribution service, their classic games. And considering how much Nintendo tends to charge for those games, like $4 or $5, considering it's 30 games, Nintendo could make an awful lot more money out of someone willing to buy, who wanted to buy even half those games, or even a third of those games, than simply putting 30 of them all together in a small little box and charging £60 for it. So I'm wondering, is this an attempt by them to again puff up their numbers before the next financial year, which to me would imply the NX is not coming out in the first 3 months of next year, if that's the case. It also might be a case as well of maybe this is the thing, is what I've said, there's a lot of young people out there now, people who are, God forbid, born, in the 2000s, who are now, if you're born in 2000, you're 16 years old. Oh, I feel ancient. But if you were born in 2000, there's a good chance, this is well after, at the end of, after Nintendo's heyday, there were an awful lot of, young people in the country who've never, in the world, who've never owned a Nintendo home console. They don't know who Mario is, or Mario has little or no relevance to them. Same with Pokemon to a not insignificant degree as well. And this might be an attempt by Nintendo to give people a cheap option to buy something that they can give to their kids, or their baby, their kid sister, their kid brother, that's cheap, that's affordable at $50-$60, that'll expose the kids to 30 of some of the best games that came out on the Nintendo Entertainment System back in the day, to try and get them, quote unquote, hooked on Nintendo, because at $60 is a very low bar to entry. Whether it'll work or not, I do not know. Whether we'll see a Super Nintendo equivalent of this at some point in the future, I honestly don't know. In other words, I'd say actually, if the NX is even halfway successful, probably not, because doing that would sabotage the sale of classic SNES games on the NX's digital store. But anyway, let me know what you think of this in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and my thoughts about what this means for the NX. I think Pokemon Go and its success might, to a degree, have had an impact on this as well. The whole nostalgia thing proving to be quite successful. Again, let me know what you think about Pokemon Go in the comments as well. And if you like this video, please like it. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so for more content just like this. This is Defub21 signing off.